The holidays might be over, but I do have one last gift to give you, and that is my top 12 books that come out in the month of January 2025. That's right, welcome back to your monthly dose of brand new book releases where I fill up your TBRs with really exciting books in the genres of fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. Now, I know these lists are normally way bigger. I usually talk about like 20, sometimes 25 books in these videos, but I wanted to give myself some grace. I still think this is a fantastic list, and there's something here for everyone. Now, be sure to like this video if you liked, subscribe if you're not. I'd love to have you here. And without further ado, let's begin on January 7th. And my current read, the first book I'll be finishing in 2025, Breath of the Dragon, a Bruce Lee inspired YA fantasy novel by the lovely Fonda Lee, the author most known for Jade City, and co-writer Shannon Lee. Taking place within a Chinese inspired fantasy world, the book follows the protagonist June, a young boy who is banished from his home kingdom with his father when his active practice of martial arts was discovered. And now, as a teen living on the opposite side of the kingdom, he pursues the chance to win a fighting tournament. But of course, he and the contestants soon discover that this particular year of the tournament brings a drastic change where death is a possibility. What I have read so far has been fantastic. It definitely has that classic Fonda Lee feel to it. There's action sequences, fighting. It's kind of giving me visions of like the combat codes, another martial arts fantasy that I highly recommend. So be sure to check this one out. I'm sure you will, as it's a pretty popular release. Next up, I have The Devourer, a swashbuckling fantasy adventure, which you can automatically tell by that amazing cover. There's a reviewer that gave this an amazing comparison. They said it has the pirate energy of Daughter of the Pirate King with the dark magic vibes of The Witcher, and that immediately sold me. We have a pirate captain, and her goal is to hunt down her half-brother who betrayed their family by stealing a priceless treasure map, and she has to go through ancient sea monsters and crazy magic and an uneasy rivaled alliance to complete her mission. Nautical fantasy are always so fun in my opinion, and I actually can't wait to try this one out myself. Let's move on to a new date. We have January 14th, Level Unknown. David Daglish is back with a very interesting new book that is unlike anything that he's ever written. Where we are used to those big, crazy, plotted epic fantasies, we have a lit RPG that still features a beautiful fantasy world, multiple POVs, magic and fantasy. We follow Nick, who is a researcher, and he has chosen to explore more in depth this ancient artifact that has an entire universe inside it. But to be able to explore it and unravel all the mysteries properly, he needs to get stronger, aka level up, which is like where the lit RPG comes in. And probably gather some friends along the way, let's be real. I am really excited about this one. I have read maybe one lit RPG in my reading lifetime, probably when I was way younger, when they were way more popular, but this is coming from one of my all-time favorite authors who I will read anything from. So yeah, definitely add this one to your wish list, pre-order it. It's something different, and I think it's going to be amazing, and I will let you know if it is. Watermoon. So this one is reminding me of a book I read a couple months ago, The Gallergut Department, which involved a store that sold dreams. And this is very similar, but instead of dreams, Watermoon follows a woman who inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets. And here is where she embarks on a magical journey or a quest. It's supposed to be very whimsical, dreamlike, Studio Ghibli even, mixed with like mystery, as our protagonist's father goes missing and she has to find him. I love this cover design so much, and if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be a pretty deluxe edition that features a unique origami jacket that folds into a boat. What? Like, that's freaking cool. And the jacket artwork is also printed directly onto the hardcover case underneath. So it's going to be very pretty. It's definitely going to stand out in the bookstore, that's for sure. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Now, this is a popular one this month by New York Times bestselling author Grady Hendrix. I swear, his name sounds like a country singer, and I have to like reel myself back of all the country jokes that I want to make. Anyways, this isn't your usual comedy horror from this author. Instead, it's more like a historical fiction as it takes place in the 1970s, featuring a pretty radical lava lamp on the cover. Haven't seen those since I was a kid, with some witchcraft thrown in. We have a group of women who are introduced to witchcraft from a librarian in the form of a book, which in turn gives them some powers they never could have dreamed of, but as always, there's a price. It sounds like a very nostalgic story, and any Grady Hendrix fans should definitely really be hyped for this one. Next I have here is Lightfall, a debut epic fantasy for fans of Jay Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire and Richard Swans' The Justice of Kings. I read those comparisons and I immediately just like clapped my hands, especially for the Justice of Kings comparison. I need more books like that, and Lightfall just might fill that big void. Again, an epic fantasy mixed with urban paranormal, because not only are there sorcerers, but vampires and werewolves as well. No humans in this world. In fact, they are extinct. The story follows a like good versus evil plot, a long lost civilization. It sounds really cool and really unique. Death of the Author, a new sci-fi from a very well-known sci-fi author following a disabled Nigerian woman. This one is almost breaking the fourth wall, as it's about a character who writes a book and she's been fired from her job and rejected by another publisher. So she has a goal in mind and she sets off to write a totally different book, which is an epic far future story about androids and AI in the ruins of human civilization. It really feels like we're not too far off from that in real life. It does have dual timelines as we bounce back and forth between chapters of her life in the novel that she has written called Rusted Robots. This almost seems like a magical realism version of sci-fi, if that makes sense. Like, if that's a thing, I don't know. Maybe I just came up with a new subgenre. This is one of those authors who can basically do no wrong, and a lot of people are really liking this one. Let's move along to January 21st. I have Moth Eater. So I've read this one and I enjoyed it a lot. It's a slow, unraveling mystery that takes place in a small Appalachian mining town, and our main character puts all her focus on what is killing the miners on this mountain after her best friend is one of the victims, when she suddenly finds a half-drowned woman on the side of the river, and this changes everything. Everything just kept me on my toes every single moment. The plot and lore, as we're following two different timelines, was very interesting and easy to follow as well. Typically, dual timelines constantly switching back and forth can be a little bit confusing to me, but this one is very easy to follow. There's hedge witches, nature magic, it's historical, and just a lot of fun. And finally, we're moving on to our last date, which has a few books releasing on it, and that is January 28th. We have At the Bottom of the Garden. This is a spooky read hitting shelves and hitting a lot of readers' high ratings. It's a gothic novel about an evil woman who is a murderer, and she becomes the guardian of two very unusual girls, and at first she doesn't want to take them in, but things change when some discoveries happen. I believe one of the little girls can even see ghosts or something, so that's an interesting element. I've mentioned this many times before, but I love horror novels that focus on some creepy house or manor or castle, whatever it is. I love it. This is set in the 1970s. It has some dark humor mixed in. I mean, we are following a not so good natured maiden character, so I assume that's going to be an interesting POV. At the Fount of Creation, I love this cover. It's the style it's drawn in is so gorgeous. Okay, so this is the sequel to In the Shadow of the Fall, and the finale of the Guardian of the Gods duology. So yes, we do have a conclusion here. So I can't go into a whole lot of detail, but in the first book, we follow an untried acolyte who's desperate to speak with the Orisha she worships and accidentally reignites a cosmic war. Now the fate of the Orisha will be decided here in this novel. It's a great exploration of choices and consequences and how feeling exploited and used can lead to dismantlement of systems. Highly relatable. Short and quick reads. Highly recommend if you're looking to get a head start on your reading goal for the year. Okay, we have two more books here on my list, and the second to last one is Order of Swans. I had a goal this year to not include as many romantasy books in my new releases videos this year, but this one gets a pass because though I don't like romantasy and I kind of hope to see the downfall of it soon, I really like the cover. So this is a spellbinding fantasy-rich romance that follows a woman, a PhD student to be specific, so magical realism if that's your thing, and she's swept into a world where she has the power to alter fairy tales and change a kingdom's destiny. Oh, another reason I wanted to add this one to my list is what I found interesting about it was that it also has sci-fi influences and involves space travel. It sounds mysterious and has some spice apparently if that's your thing, but hopefully this isn't one of those YA novels that just like wants to throw in every plot device, every genre basically. Hopefully it's not one of those books, but I definitely wanted to add it to this list. And last, but definitely not least, because this book is right up my alley and I will be reading it in January, and that is the Outcast Mage. This is for your epic fantasy fans out there. It's by a debut author published by Orbit Books, and it's starring a mage whose quest to control her power could destroy everything. We see the story through the eyes of multiple POVs, as any epic fantasy should. Reviewers are saying it's perfect for fans of Andrea Stewart and Samantha Shannon even. It does sound like it has some kind of like magical academia to it, which should be fun. I do have a physical copy of this one. It is a gorgeous copy and I'm definitely going to be starting it soon. It'll be one of my first reads of the year and I'll review it on this channel, so subscribe so you don't miss it. And that is going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below in the comments what book that you are most excited to get to in January. What new release are you really looking forward to? Have you pre-ordered any? Are there any books that I missed? Because I know there's quite a few January book releases this year. So let me know any of the ones that I didn't talk about today. Like I said before, like this video if you enjoyed. It really helps me out a lot and it tells the algorithm that you guys really like my videos and it helps push them out even more. So I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you are not. I would love to have you here, and until I meet again, happy reading.